terrible at this. Welcome to the 5th episode of Brain Cancer versus Graphic Novel. If it's your first visit, this is the story of me getting brain cancer right in the middle of working on a goddamn graphic novel that was going to take years to finish. I was working on it for 3 years, and I've got about 2 or 3 years left on it. And so I'm chronicling my race, mortality versus, the kind of brain cancer I have is the worst one, and you tend to check out in about a year and a half. So, it's a hell of a race. It's dark. I appreciate you joining me on that journey. Every video is kind of getting further and further into explaining what I'm up to, who my characters Leopold and Brink are, what the old comic was, what the new comic is, maybe a little bit of comic craft talk. I haven't really done that yet. But today's episode is the cancer special. I'm going to go through my story so far. I'm not an expert in any way about this stuff, so please don't think this is an educational source or anything, terribly helpful. Hopefully, I can provide some levity or maybe inspiration or just support from my fellow sufferers or anybody watching. But basically, this is a cynical business ploy to promote Leopold and Brink as the next big pop culture phenomenon. On that note, let's talk some business. I have noticed that just like the sales of my comic in the 90s, my views on my videos are going, so please share this with people. Please leave a like. The subscription thing I think helps a lot too. I don't know. I don't understand the YouTube thing. I've never done it seriously before. Also, there's 2 like little animated shorts that I've done, and then a video of my precious son, Cat, who's no longer with us. Those video things are from a time when there was a cool app or whatever, pre-app. It's just you can make your own kind of cartoons, and I think those are 2 of the funniest things I've ever written. So check those out too if you're interested. But let's get in. Oh, right. So because this is the gruesome episode, please take care of yourself and do not watch if it's too gross. I'm not going to show brain cancer, though I did make the very stupid mistake of, after getting out of the hospital, watching a brain cancer surgery video on YouTube. And holy shit, I'm not usually squeamish from those things, but I don't know if it's just that my empathy is overworked, but I felt like it was just awful. Don't watch, unless you're interested, don't watch one of those. Also, I thought, because I'm such an idiot, that they had scooped parts of my brain out. So after the surgery, I'm like, what did you take out? Was I using that bit? And they're like, you idiot. It's more like, it's more like on top. My sister had a good analogy. It's like a mushroom grew in my brain. It's kind of like that. It's like you put a fillet of fish in there and then they just remove the fillet of fish. Okay, so let's get to the creepy stuff. This is an image from the thumbnail, so I don't think it's that new. Maybe I'll show a closer bit. Again, fair warning. There's going to be a couple heavy duty things. I'm not trying to creep anybody out or freak anybody out, but I don't really have that much gross stuff. I don't have any gross stuff, but it's depressing. So here's I thought I was rocking a pretty badass look here for a second. These are the staples that put my cranium back in place. Okay, so my story so far. I was tripping and dragging my foot and walking like a zombie. And, I've never been the most graceful person in the world, but it was weird. I was like, well, this seems odd. I played Fortnite one day with my sister and her sister, and we, we're terrible, but I remember being like, the controller's broken, and blaming the controller when I was playing poorly, but it was clearly something going on in my brain because I just couldn't move my hands right. It was really weird. That actually was weirder to me than the balance problems. But what I didn't know was happening is my tumor had gotten so big at that point that it was pushing my mid-brain over to the side. And so my balance I had got ataxia, that's what it's called. So and they called it foot drop. I didn't even notice I was doing that, but I was walking really weird. And so here's a fun fact. My sister said, you need to call your doctor. And I'm like, whatever. I have balance issues. That'll go away. What could it be? I'd recently started taking an antidepressant, and my sister thought, oh, well, they fucked your medication up. That's what's going on. Go check that out. And anyway, I can't remember if the tripping got worse. I did fall around the house a couple times. So she just insisted I called. So I called. And actually, I'll follow up with that in a second. In April, so like May, June, like 2.5 months before that, I had a severe anxiety attack, and I hadn't had one. I'd had, I think, at least one before, a long time ago, and when it hit me, it was like that wall of dread. You feel like you're gonna, something horrible is about to happen. I hope you never experience this. I think it's totally panic attack or anxiety. I never know what the difference is, but it was just that feeling. And I didn't really have physical symptoms. It was just this kind of psychological attack. And I remember the last time I had it, I'm like, okay, you felt this before. Just chill, take deep breaths, and it'll go away. And that's true. Except this time, this is really difficult to describe. This time, after it's faded away and I didn't feel like that sense of dread anymore, I slipped into a mental state unlike anything I've ever experienced. And I've done mushrooms. So like, I'm lying down recovering from the freak out, and I Googled this, and the best I could figure out what it's called is derealization. And I could swear whoever I was in like the early 90s was in charge of my body. I was like time traveling. It's so weird. I know it sounds nuts. Whatever. It lasted for 4 fucking days. And that definitely made me call the doctor. I did that. She was like, well, anxiety can do weird things. You need therapy. And I'm like, there's no way this isn't physiological. Please do me some tests. And so I don't think I convinced her, but she did do blood work and sent me for a CT scan. So at this point, I'm pretty convinced. I mean, nobody followed up with that. So I think they just like, well, he's cuckoo. But I'm pretty sure my tumor was growing. Well, my tumor was definitely growing then, but I think that that's what did this, because it is right in the memory and other stuff section. So, and the weird thing about that trippy state of mind was I wasn't having memories of the early 90s. I was just like, as if I was there. It was so weird. It was so weird. Okay, so that faded after I did some exercise, which I hadn't done in a while, which was nice. And then it's recurred for like a minute and a half a couple times since then, but just the anxiety part, not the freaky time travel part. I bring that up because I think that's the beginning of the tumor. And so now I've got this fucking massive tumor that's making me trip and stuff. And my sister convinces me to call the doctor, and my doctor has the most elegant line that sells me on going to the doctor, going to the ER, which is, time is brain. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I don't really understand what you're saying, but like, I guess if something's going wrong with my brain, I better get the fuck to the ER, because time is brain. And it turns out this is exactly what happened. So I go to the hospital, or go to the ER, Centinela local, and they say, when I say dragging my feet or something, they go, oh shit, okay, we need to get you a scan. They send me to the scan. And then while this is happening, my sister's just kind of forced to sit in the waiting room because A, they don't know who she is, and B, they got to do all the shit to me. I do recall them saying to me, oh, there's a huge mass. We got to figure out what to do. We recommend surgery right away. And then there was some bullshit about like, oh, your insurance wants you to go somewhere else. But the surgeon who was there was like, there's no time for that. I got to get this done now. And so this is all I knew. And I text my sister, big news. Glad we came into the hospital. That's all I wrote. I didn't follow up. She's out there like, God knows what she's feeling. I mean, she's described how infuriating that was. But it's such a dick move. Okay. Then I go to surgery and they rock it. They rock and roll. Oh, here's a picture of after they remove it. And he, you know, a while later when I finally meet with my surgeon, he explains that white area is just sponge left in there because there was a lot of hemorrhaging and this and that to soak up shit, made of cellulose. So it, you know, it's long gone now. But he got it all. It's just amazing. Everyone has been so impressed with his work, me especially. And I don't know. Oh, and here's yeah, this is I gotta do this. I said I wasn't gonna read from this, but I'm gonna read for it. And in fact, I gotta get it, so I'm gonna hit thing, and there's gonna be a jump cut, which I fucking hate. But he wrote an operative report, which is like detailed walkthrough of the surgery, and it's elegant. I don't know why a neurosurgeon can write like this, but please bear with me for 1 second while I do this awkward cut. Okay, I would bail if you're queasy from weird medical stuff. But here we go. I'm gonna read it off my screen over here. Procedure in detail. The patient was placed on the operating table. Adequate general endotracheal anesthesia was obtained. The patient received mannitol, Decadron, and Keppra. The scalp on the right was clipped, was prepped, and draped in normal sterile fashion. A shoulder roll was placed on the right shoulder. The head was turned towards the left. The head was placed in a 3-pin skull holder, Mayfield skeletal traction device. This is already freaking me out. Device connected to the table for fixing the position of the craniotomy. Scalp was infiltrated with lidocaine and epinephrine solution. Timeout was already called. All the areas were padded. The sculpt was opened with a 10 blade, because I'm such a badass. After the sculpt was prepped and draped in normal sterile fashion, incision was made with the 10 blade. Oh, sorry, with the 10 blade. The temporalis muscle and fascia was divided and retracted along with the scalp, anteriorly, inferiorly connected with fish hooks. Oh, God. Burr holes were placed in the subtemporal region and a temporal craniotomy bone flap was turned without any difficulty. The bone flap was secured on the back table. The bone flap was secured on the back table. Ugh. All the bleeders were bipolared, whatever the fuck that means. The edge of the dura was bipolared. Cool. The dura was opened with a 15 blade and scissors and reflected anteriorly, inferiorly with fish hooks. What the fuck with the fish hooks? Following this, I was able to notice that the temporal lobe appears to be very hemorrhagic. I entered the superior temporal gyrus and was able to get inside the tumor, and I slowly went around the tumor, dissecting it from the sylvian fissure and posteriorly and to approximately 6 centimeters off the temporal tip. The tumor was resected without any difficulty because he is a fucking badass. It was not that difficult to find the tissue-tumor interface, and it was easy to go around the tumor and completely remove it without any difficulty. Multiple samples were sent to the pathology, and one area of the tumor entered the temporal horn of the lateral ventricle. Ugh. I paid attention not to damage the ependema, just resected tumor and bipolar the ependema. There was very minimal CSF drainage. I don't know what that is. Gel foam was placed over this area. Surgicel covered the raw surface of the brain. All the bleeders were stopped with bipolar cautery. Following the complete removal of tumor, I started the closure. The dura was reapproximated. The dura is the thing that covers the skull, the brain. It's like the plastic bag that the brain's in. The dura was reapproximated, but since there was a missing portion of dura, I utilized a piece of temporalis muscle fascia. What? Is that why my eye is droopy? God damn it. At an interposition graft and covered the dura with a piece of gel foam, and everything was sutured tight. Blank line, duroplasty of the region in this, I don't know what that means. Following this, the bone flap was secured. There were areas of burr hole that was covered with microplate in the form of microplating cranioplasty, and number 3 and 4 millimeter screws were utilized to secure the bone flap. Oh, that's good to know. A drain was placed in the subgaleal space in the form of number 7 flat JP drain exited from a scalp through a separate stab incision. It was secured to scalp with staples. Closure of wound was done with a 2-0 vicryl for the temporalis muscle and 2-0 vicryl for the galea and staples for the scalp. Sterile dressing was applied. Full craniotomy wrap was applied. The head was taken out of 3-pin skull holder. Thank you very much. The ventriculostomy catheter was connected to drainage device, and oh, that's what that disgusting thing next to me was in the hospital bed. I thought it was the fucking tumor. They had like a little, well, I'll show you a photo at some point. It's yuck. The patient was kept intubated and taken to the post-anesthesia recovery in stable condition and to the intensive care unit. The end. Okay, so, Christ. That was the surgery. And then I'm taken to the ICU. And then the fun starts, because when I wake up, I'm a little out of it. And I'm being told it went well, but, we'll get more scans and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I don't remember this conversation, except he kept looking past me with a confused expression, and I turn around and I'm like, oh my God, my sister's here. And she'd finally been let in. And because I kind of recognized her, I don't know if I said my sister's here, but or said anything, but they're like, okay, she's cool, so she could stay. So then she, she did so much work to take care of me. It was amazing. But who did more work? First of all, she literally saved my life, because I never would have called the doctor. Not only that, this is the second time she's saved my life. But the first time is it's much darker. It's so dark. It's much darker than this, and you're going to have to buy Leopold Ring 5 to hear that story. I'm so gross. Okay, but I do want you to buy Leopold Ring 5, or libraries still exist. Stay tuned. Like and subscribe. Okay, I'm looking at what the fuck I'm going to talk about next. Oh yeah, hospital story. Okay, so I am reluctant to share this part, but it's so funny and interesting, I think. And I forgot so I met with my surgeon like a week after getting out. Everything's been quite delayed. It's frustrating, but whatever. But I met with my surgeon finally, and I'll tell that story quick, because then I'll work back to the being in the hospital. But I meet with him, and I meet with him to get the staples out. And he does, right, I guess he's doing that first. And he's really close to me, and I ask, so was it cancerous? It's like, unfortunately, yes. And then he says, it's the same one that killed Kennedy. And I'm like, what the fuck part of the conspiracy is that? Like, I completely didn't know that Ted Kennedy died from this. He actually had it in the same spot too. And also John McCain. But it just sounded so nuts. Anyway, I figured it was cancerous by then. I don't know why, just a hunch. That seems hypocritical, because I'm a really optimistic guy. So like, maybe my martyrs thing. So he tells me that, he tells me the Kennedy thing, and then he's like, you got to get real aggressive with this, because these things grow back fast, and you've got the worst one in the world. And he was really encouraging to be a warrior in this. And and then he's like, you need to be on Temodar, which is a chemo drug, like yesterday. And so like every fucking doctor I've met with since him, including him, I'm like, give me Temodar. And they're like, no, you got to wait till radiation and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so, right. I bring that up because I forgot to fuck with him and ask, hey, did you take out did you nick the inhibition center of my brain? Because as soon as I was conscious, and I am sorry for this, so sorry, I hit on every goddamn nurse in the ICU and the ER. Like, I was ridiculous. I mean, thank God they had a sense of humor about it. We all had fun with it, but like, what the hell? I mean, clearly it was just me, and I was just so thankful to be. I don't know what the hell is going on, but it was it was ridiculous. This does not excuse it, but for some reason, and I said this out loud to them, why are you all so hot? It was I got a reputation. And then when my sister was called and told that I was being discharged from the hospital, she's like, oh no, what did he do? Because she knew I was doing this. She thought I was being kicked out for being a fucking masher. If by some miracle, though, Jill, you're watching this, I think we really hit it off. So please get in touch. I did really fall for one of the nurses. Okay. So that nonsense went on. I was in ICU, ER, then ICU, and then they moved me upstairs to kind of the chill floor because I was like ready for physical therapy, and I was the worst part of this whole thing was being intubated. Like otherwise I was totally fine, but like being locked down to that bed in tubes. Oh yeah, this situation, just the fucking worst. I don't know if I thought of this or my sister thought of this, but like I was like, can I write? Can I write? Well, I couldn't speak, so like, and they brought me a pad and a pencil. I'm sure I used that to flirt with them as well, but I did write, when is this fucking thing coming out of me? And they're like, we don't know, the doctor will tell you. And so the doctor comes, I don't even know who this doctor was. Anyway, he's like, tomorrow morning. And so the clock became my enemy. And I could swear the morning came and I'm like, get this out of me. And the doctor's like, tomorrow morning. And I'm like, you fucking said that already in my head. I'm sure I wrote, you said it. But I just felt like it went on and it was awful. Oh, and then here, like, it looks like I'm not enjoying it, but I actually really enjoyed the hospital food. Probably because I just like being served food. And it was tasty enough, but like, I was just fucking loving the attention, I must admit. Like, I don't recommend getting brain cancer, but, enjoy your time if you have to go to the ICU and you're conscious and you're health. Oh, God, what a horrible thing to say. But so that stage, they finally fucking take that out. Oh, yeah. After they take it out, which is a goddamn blessing. I think it was, yeah. I got this really weird state of mind where I was terrified I wasn't me. Therefore, I still had it in me and had to get it taken out. And I remember asking one of the nurses, am I Chris Fink? And she was like, she could hear how full of fear I was. She was like, yes, sweet. The nurses were so great. Like, regardless of my awful behavior, like, just the amazing, I didn't understand how humans like that can exist. Like, why aren't we cultivating that more and praising them? Just, holy shit, what an incredible human being a nurse is. Anyway, so I'm off that. My sister's still visiting at every opportunity. It's great. And now this is the time where I'm like getting reacquainted with my family, which just, I mentioned this before. I never thought would happen. So I'm like, what? Why is my life so amazing all of a sudden? This is great. I couldn't walk still, so the physical therapist came to help me with a walker, kind of figure out how to move again and blah blah blah. And just kind of atrophy after a bit, maybe brain shit too. I don't know. So at this point, I still thought they took part of my brain out. So I assume I'm missing something. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But I'm just totally me and normal and lascivious, gross old dude. Okay, so all right, I'm upstairs now, and I'm about to get released. So I get released. I go home. I got to have a walker, and I definitely think I needed it like immediately, but I kind of felt like I could have not used it. But my sister is like a real rules follower, and so she just was fucking Nurse Ratchet with me with that thing. Like, you take it everywhere. You go to the bathroom. You go in like that. We have a hilarious routine, but that one she was like a real dick. So it was only like it was really short when my physical therapist was like, you're good. You don't need this fucking walker, dude. You need to get more exercise. You need this, and like within a week or 2 weeks probably, I was back playing soccer. Well, I think I might have mentioned this before, but like, this is me playing soccer. My dudes were really patient with me and they let me just walk around the field. So, but god damn, it felt good being back out there. Anyway, that's all the positive stuff. Then I met with the surgeon, had that hilarious conversation. Oh, this is good. Okay, quick bio thing just to make me mentioning sister make sense. I live in a condo in Culver City with my sister and her boyfriend, and that's a long story, which will also be in Leopold and Bring 5, available for purchase. Anyway, we're a very happy little family, and thank God I have them, and I think they like me too. But we're mega nerds, and anyway, what am I talking about? Oh, right. Charlie's brother came up with this hilarious thing after I described the phenomena. But like one of the first nights I'm back, we have I live in Fox Hills, which is a neighborhood in Culver City, and we have this nice park in the middle of the neighborhood. And we used to play soccer there too. But we have some food trucks showing up these days, and one sells is like a Japanese food truck, but it's mostly like burgers and cool sandwiches. And so we went there, and I'm like, oh, this is a good opportunity for me to get some exercise too, and eat a giant burger. So I go and we get chicken or something, and I don't know, I didn't know. I should have known this was a dumb idea, but his burgers are really thick. And so we all get our stuff, and it takes a while, and we walk into the park and sit down and have a nice time. And I go to take a bite. And if you've ever had any skull injury of any kind, when you stretch your face or stretch your muscles, you feel it up there, right? I don't know what I was thinking, but when I took when I opened my jaw to take a bite, I let out a howl that can only be described as a werewolf transformation from an 80s movie. To me, it was hilarious. And it bothered my sister so much because it radiated through the whole park because anyway, every bite was this thing. Oh, here's after it was almost healed. So it's not nearly as funny, but Charlie's brother, Danny, came up with this hilarious idea of me as the Jewish teen wolf. And he's like, I'd watch that.
Don't look at the camera!
Oh my God. It's good. Oh! But yeah, it was much louder early on. Now I barely feel it at all. Like, I hope, oh, okay. That's another thing. My treatment. It's been like pushed off. I'm still not on Temodar. And until I met with my badass oncology team, I was getting a little freaked out, like, oh no. Oh, and then I had an MRI again a couple week ago, where I could see that my tumor's growing back, like a little bit of it. And I'm like, oh no, they're gonna give me surgery again already? And I go to the meeting with this new oncology team, and they see these scans, and they, not only do they see that had regrown, but they say, quote, there's several troubling new areas. Like, what? And so I have like 6 or 7 tumors growing now and still no treatment. But they did convince me, not only is everything really small, but because my surgery went so well and I present so well, they're not worried. They think they can just get this shit done. And it's not giving me any symptoms. So I trust them. I know that sounds naive maybe, but like I like that I trust them. It gives me a sense of calm. I'm good anyway. But anyway, I feel great, and I'm ready to. Oh, sorry. So then treatment will be chemo, radiation, and this clinical trial called the Optune device, and this is what it looks like. And I got to wear that motherfucker 18 hours a day for 2 years. The obvious first problem is I'm going to lose my absolutely gorgeous curls for up to about 3 years. I mean, I would like to live for 3 years, so whatever. If that helps that happen, goodbye hair. But my first question was, well, can I paint it? Can I draw on it? Can I put stickers on it? And they're like, no, you can put it on the bag that holds the battery. I'm like, oh. But then they tell me you get up to 300, at least, is it 300 or 5, just this absurd amount of reimbursement for hats and wigs. And I'm like, shopping time, yay. So, we'll see what I look like. You guys will see it in a couple weeks, probably. But so those are my frontline attacks for this cancer killing, my murder cancer team. And cool. Is that everything? My joke. I'm obsessed with this joke, and it kills, I think. But I finally met with my radiation oncologist, who's going to have his team do the physics to figure out where exactly to blast me with radiation. And first of all, this guy, who I really liked, looks just like Colin Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows, a show I highly recommend. And I was like, oh God, I can't mention this, can I? But I did say, you look like a handsome version of that actor who played. And here's the craziest part. He goes, the energy vampire? So the show. we had a blast. And he's like, my wife is going to get such a kick out of this. So I'm pretty sure I've changed this man's life once he tells his wife. Anyway, he looks just like that guy. So I'm kind of thrilled. But I asked him, I said, I have a very serious question for you, man. I'm planning on bringing a bag of spiders with me to the radiation treatments, to become Spider-Man. Is that cool? And he's like, I've never heard that before. That is a great idea. He was as serious as I was, but, and if you guys know what species to bring, if that actually works, and how to pull it off, comment, please. Actually, everyone comment just something, because YouTube says, I don't know, just do all the things, please. Especially if you've watched this far. And most people bail in like 5 minutes, according to my analytics, which I get it. Okay, so that is pretty caught up, I think. And maybe I'll, oh, you know what? Because there's no art, and this is the cancer one, but this is about fucking Leopold Brink at the end of the day. I wanted to explain what's going on back here with this mannequin. This is, actually, we have the mannequin because my sister and I designed clothes for half a second and used it to photograph the clothes. But this piece on, oh my God. This piece on her now is the costume on the character Sulis, who's speaking to my character throughout the entire Leopold Brink 5. And here's kind of what Sulis will look like. And God, I don't remember how long this fucking video is, so I'm just gonna just stare at you guys for a second while it plays out. Hopefully you're not looking at me. But that is essentially my friend, therapist, co-host of Leopold Brink 5. Oh, you guys don't even know what the plot of that is yet. Oh my God. Okay, next episode is super boring for the people who don't like being read to, but I'm going to read more from Leopold Brink 4 and explain how it connects to what's going on in Leopold Brink 5. Thank you for watching again and being patient. I don't think it wasn't that freaky, right? Let me know. Please don't unsubscribe though. And I will see you next time. Love to you all. Later.